You know how many theories there are about why the Beatles broke up. I bet you, how many have you heard? 35?
One or two.
You got too rich, you got too isolated, you got too tired. Lennon got too radical. What's your version?
That we'd come full circle. It was actually kind of a 10-year period, the main thing. It was a surprisingly short time, really, I thought. But we started off in Liverpool, and we wanted to go and be famous, wanted to write a lot of songs and have a lot of success everywhere, which is basically everyone's aim. You know, any group starts up, that's pretty much what they all want. So we wanted to do that. Once we'd done that, and once we'd conquered places like North America and stuff like that, I think we began to feel that we'd done it, and that all we were now going to go into was just do it twice. And for the Beatles and the whole thing, I think people started to think, we don't really want to do that. And I think the other factor was that we were also getting to the age when most people leave the army and get married, or leave the club.
You're bringing in the wicked women here. The wicked women who broke up the Beatles.
Let's bring them in. Bring in the broads. No, so I think the point was that during the Beatles was the only relationship we were really had time for. And we tried other relationships, but you know, they'd end in divorces for the other guys, and breakups and stuff. Because you couldn't really compete. No women could compete with the Beatles.
That was just a joke, bring in the broads, right? Mm-hmm. But God, it must have been wild.
Yeah, it was wild. Sure. Next question. She wants to draw me on this. How wild? And just what form did this wild take?
I'm thinking of something that you said about you and your own wife, that you'd sowed so many wild oats you were prepared to be quiet.
Yeah, well, that was true. You know, like a lot of people of my generation. I mean, let's face it, you know, for a young man, heterosexual young man, that's what you're after. You know, let's not try and kid people around here. You know, that's what you go to clubs for. You don't go for the food. And
this is your reason that you've given for not going on tour. That the only point of going on tour is to attract women.
No, not going to clubs. I've given that reason why I don't go to nightclubs and discos now. Because the main reason I went was to find women, to be with my own peer group, you know. And when you get married, it depends who you are, but in my case, that knocked all of that on the head. I wouldn't dare she'd get a rolling pin out, you know, she'd kill me.
Did something that belonged to you and still belongs to you, or you may feel still belongs to you, die with John Lennon? A possibility of becoming Rodgers and Hammerstein, of having a mutually inspiring relationship, partnership, business and writing partnership for your whole life?
Well, that actually died a few years before John died. We'd stopped writing together a few years before that. So the collaboration thing stopped with the end of the Beatles, which was about 10 years before he died. So I'd got used to having lost that. And yes, something did die when you've got as good a collaborator as John.
But then he started saying those nasty things about you, that you'd become an Engelbert Humperdinck, that you were a bore.
It's true, yeah.
Did you ever reconcile?
Muzak, that was another.
Are you still a little hurt that you didn't get a chance to clean that up?
A little? You kidding? When someone like John Lennon says you're Muzak? Yeah, it was very hurtful. But one thing I knew about John was that he shut his mouth off very often about things. So that there was a point that, you know, he deliberately wanted to say crummy things about me.
Why?
He was hurt. He later explained it by saying that I'd kind of hurt him over some things, and it was kind of bitchy. You know, he just had to do that, you know, it's fine. And at the time I thought, well, I should really answer all of this. But I thought, no, it's really going to get crazy if I start answering him, then we're going to be talking through newspapers at each other and really bitching, you know.
But now it's up presumably to what? To only Yoko Ono can tell you, oh no, John really liked you. I mean, that must feel very arm's length.
No, I know that anyway. I say it doesn't mean I didn't get hurt when he said hurtful things about me, but I knew from my relationship with him that the kind of person John was he was quite likely to say that about anyone, but not necessarily likely to mean it. He often said things he didn't mean. And I know that when he died, that was one of the great things Yoko did for me, was that she took me aside, kind of said, you know, he did love you. She was gracious enough to do that for me, you know. So that was great.
So this hurt. This is...
Sure did, baby. Yeah, I mean, it'd hurt you, you know, if I start slagging your clothes off right now. You know, nobody needs that. And when it's from your best friend, it hurts, you know. But as I say, I know I'm not music. Well, I am, actually. Every time the plane lands, but I mean, what I mean is, in the way he meant it, that my music is only at the level of kind of crummy music. I know that's not true.
The trouble is, I suspect, it started a trend that a lot of people say, I used to love him, now he's insipid, now he's puerile. I suppose it's sort of, to be absolutely absurd, like saying to Einstein, hey, what are you going to do after E equals MC squared? But they're really saying, I don't like what you do now. I want something else.
So those are the people who don't buy my records, and that's fine. You know, there were people at the Beatles who said, I really don't like that. You know, I prefer Mozart. That's cool. But I mean, the thing is, the answer would be I would have to not do well then if they'd all turned against me. The thing is, you know...
But you're not afraid to be commercial. That seems to be your answer.
Just the opposite. I mean, I'm proud to be commercial. See, you think about it. What other way do I have to know that it's working, what I do? Well, I go out in the street and take Gallup polls everywhere? No, it's the only way is actually that you see people go into shops of their own volition and say, can I have his record, please? They think I'm puerile, they wouldn't do that.